Whispers are growing louder out of Enstone, and this time, they might just be true. A shocking twist no one saw coming. Valtteri Bottas, the 10-time Grand Prix winner, once Lewis Hamilton's trusted wingman, could be clawing his way back into a full-time Formula One seat. But not with Audi, not with Cadillac, not even with Sauber. Instead, it's Alpine, the team in chaos, reeling at the bottom of the grid, that's looking to Bottas as a mid-season saviour. Or a stopgap? Either way, the rumour has been traced back to one man, Flavio Briatore, the showman, the survivor, the walking controversy who's now pulling strings behind the scenes in Enstone as Alpine's executive advisor. And he's not just whispering names in back rooms. He's already picked up the phone. Reports confirm that Briatore has contacted Mercedes to ask, casually but pointedly, about Bottas's availability. Yes, Mercedes. The team that once partnered Bottas alongside Hamilton during its most dominant years. The irony: Alpine will soon become a Mercedes customer team. Coincidence or groundwork? And Mercedes? They're reportedly unbothered by the idea. Bottas is only a reserve. He's served his time. If he wants to race, especially for a team soon running their power units, why stand in the way? This isn't just another paddock whisper, it's a signal flare. Because behind the talk is desperation. Alpine isn't just underperforming, they're dead last. 11 races, 11 points. All of them, every single one, scored by Pierre Gasly. That's not just embarrassing, it's historic in all the wrong ways. Meanwhile, Sauber, the team that let Bottas go at the end of last year, has surged. With 26 points and a mid-season form spike, they've doubled Alpine's tally. Alpine's garage, panic is settling in like fog. And Briatore, he's not one to twiddle his thumbs. After the Austrian GP, where Gasly slipped from a promising 6th mid-race to a lonely 13th, and Colapinto finished P15 after a scruffy drive filled with mistakes and incidents, Briatore's patience snapped. Clearly, the car was good enough for Q3, he said bluntly. But we are still lacking having 2 cars up where they should be. Subtle as a sledgehammer, and he wasn't done. Frankly, this level of performance is increasingly concerning, he added. It's important we understand why this is, especially if we want to turn this season around. Translation: the clock is ticking, and heads may roll. Let's zoom in on Franco Colapinto, the 22-year-old rookie caught in the middle of this maelstrom. Brought in to replace Jack Doohan mid-season, Colapinto was Alpine's bid to shake things up. A fresh face, bold move, but the results haven't followed. In Monaco, 13th. In Canada, 13th again. In Austria, hit by Yuki Tsunoda, then penalised for forcing Oscar Piastri off track. He finished 2 spots behind Gasly. On paper, not a disaster. In reality, a missed opportunity on a day when Alpine desperately needed points. Colapinto's contract is race by race. That's not a metaphor, it's literal. Every Sunday, he's on trial, and the whispers about Bottas aren't helping. Still, Colapinto puts on a brave face. We looked a bit weak, he admitted after Austria. The car has been a bit tricky. It didn't give me the confidence I needed. He talked like someone trying to find answers in a storm, but even he must sense the sand shifting beneath his feet. When asked if he's worried Briatore might cut him loose, "No," he said. "I'm not really concerned. I think he has been very supportive and he trusts me." But trust is brittle in F1. Especially when the team boss is Flavio Briatore, and especially when the car is broken, the results aren't coming, and the entire foundation of Alpine's project is under review. Here's the kicker. This might not even be about Colapinto himself. Because behind the driver drama lies a bigger reason for Alpine to pursue Bottas: benchmarking. Briatore doesn't just want a faster driver, he wants a reference point. Someone who can tell him, with surgical precision, what's wrong with this car? Is the A525 truly slow? Or are its young drivers simply not extracting its potential? Is the problem mechanical, aerodynamic, conceptual? These are the kinds of questions Bottas, a 10-time GP winner who's driven everything from dominant Mercedes beasts to floundering Alphas, is uniquely qualified to answer. That's the real motive. Bottas isn't just a band-aid, he's a mirror. And Alpine is desperate for a reflection they can trust before the storm of 2026 arrives. With new rules, new engines, and new promises, they need to know where they really stand before it's too late. And while Bottas might be the key to unlocking Alpine's true pace, the rest of the team's foundation is wobbling under the strain of uncertainty, because Alpine still doesn't have a full-time team principal. Since Ollie Oakes resigned just after the Miami Grand Prix, the leadership structure has been running in emergency mode. Dave Greenwood, the racing director, has been filling the role in a kind of placeholder capacity, but no one believes this can last. Enter Steve Nielsen, a name that to insiders rings with pedigree. He's held senior roles everywhere from Benetton to the FIA. He's worked with Briatore before, and most importantly, he knows how to rebuild a team from within. Sources confirm he's the leading candidate to take charge at Alpine. But here's the snag. Nielsen is trapped in bureaucratic limbo. Thanks to his recent role with F1 and the FIA, he's facing mandatory gardening leave. 6 months. Standard procedure for anyone who's had access to sensitive regulatory or technical intel. So even if he signs the dotted line tomorrow, he can't actively lead Alpine until late this year, maybe even 2026, which leaves Alpine in a strange place. They want a leadership reset. They want Bottas. They want clarity on their car, their future, their identity. But the machinery of F1, political, procedural, brutal, is slowing them down just when they need to accelerate. That's what makes this so precarious, because let's say they do pull the trigger. Let's say Colapinto is quietly dropped, Bottas is parachuted in mid-season, and Nielsen's appointment is lined up for the post-summer rebuild. What message does that send? That Alpine is preparing for the long haul, or that they're panicking in real time? Because it's not just about lap times, it's about control. And right now, Alpine looks like a team grasping for it. One desperate move at a time. This leads us to the heart of the matter, the philosophical fault line at the center of this story. Is this redemption, or is this collapse? Is Bottas being given one last dance in Formula One? A shot at glory in a struggling team before the next era begins? Or is he being used? A stopgap? A name? A plug in a leaking dam that no longer holds? And what of Colapinto? A young driver, thrown into the chaos midstream, judged race by race in a car that even Gasly struggles to tame. Can he truly be blamed? Or is he just a scapegoat in a team that's forgotten how to win? Even Briatore's own future isn't entirely locked. Luca Di Maio, the Renault CEO, who empowered him, is stepping down in July. Briatore's contract continues, yes, but the politics could shift. The new CEO could bring new priorities, new budgets, new philosophies. What if Alpine's F1 project is viewed as too expensive, too fractured, too unworthy of the brand? Right now, sources say the Renault board remains committed, but in F1, boardroom wins can change faster than a wet qualifying session in Spa. And in that context, what does Bottas truly represent? A comeback? Or the beginning of a final chapter? And then there's Nielsen, the ace up Briatore's sleeve. If Alpine gets him, they might finally have the structural overhaul they so desperately need. A manager who knows the sport inside and out, who's been through crisis, who's rebuilt before. But if that deal falls apart and Bottas is left exposed in a disjointed team with no direction, then we're not talking about a comeback anymore. We're talking about career euthanasia. Because let's be real, Bottas won't get another shot after this. If he returns and flounders, the verdict will be swift. The paddock is cruel. The narrative already written. Meanwhile, Colapinto, if dropped, becomes a cautionary tale. Another young driver spat out by the machine before he ever had a real chance to prove himself. So what's really happening at Alpine? A bold retooling? Or an identity crisis? Is Bottas walking into a lifeline? or a guillotine? One thing's for sure, the story is still unfolding. And if you think this is the only team ready to reshuffle the deck before the summer break, think again. Because the 2026 arms race is already underway. Every move counts, every seat is strategic. And in this era of collapsing dynasties and rising dark horses, even one driver change can trigger a seismic shift across the grid. So don't blink, because if Bottas steps into that Alpine seat, the dominoes might start falling faster than any of us expect. And just maybe, this won't be the last shocking twist we see before the summer break. Let me know below, is Bottas the missing piece, or the last gasp of a team losing its way?